This week in the news. News from ArenaNet regarding Lost Shores content, new items, legendaries, and more.
New translations from Jalinar as well as our other few CoT updates.
CoT Weekly starts now. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to CoT Weekly. I'm Lagman.
And I'm Casey.
Before we get started, we just want to apologize for not releasing a new episode last week. All of us here at Chronicles of Tyria were dealing with some in-real-life issues, but that's been dealt with, so we're back. And now I'll send it over to Casey so we can start the news.
As most of you are aware, the November 15th content update is just around the corner and it comes with new Lost Shore content. ArenaNet has released additional information detailing the time and events and also what we can expect. The event will begin on Friday, November the 16th at noon Pacific Standard Time and will run until Sunday evening. At noon on the 16th, there will be a one-time event to defend Lion's Arch from the Karka, a new enemy that we will be talking about shortly. On the 17th at noon, there will be a event to retake Lion's Arch and to drive out the Karka, as well as the ability to discover a new map, Southern Sun Cove, an island in the Sea of Sorrows. On the 18th, there will be an epic multi-hour one-time event where players will be able to battle the ancient Karka in the South Sun Cove.
Regarding content, we know the name and little about the enemies we'll be facing in Lost Shores. The enemies are, like Keisha mentioned, called the Karka. And from what we can tell, they're some sort of crustacean-esque creature. We don't know much about them, like I said, but we do know that they have very heavy armored shells that initially we won't be able to penetrate and deal any damage. ArenaNet has mentioned that there may be some sort of scavenger hunt around Tyria to figure out how to damage them. But once we figure this out, ArenaNet has stated that they've added additional shaders to the game to visually show us damaging them and the armor cracking and breaking off.
Also from the same Massively article, ArenaNet unveiled news regarding the new Fractal of the Mist dungeon. This dungeon is comprised of 9 mini-dungeons that will be randomly assigned to players that attempt it and will become more difficult as they repeatedly attempt it. Rewards will include new weapon sets and backslot items and ascended loot. Each dungeon will take a group roughly about 15 to 40 minutes to complete. Each time you enter, it will be a random dungeon with 3 dungeons constituting to a cycle. Following each cycle, you return to the hub and your group's progress will be saved. At the end of 3 successful completed cycles, you will gain access to the Mega Boss fight, which is on par to the Shatterer. Unlike the current dungeons, fractals will also allow players to set difficulty level before entering, so you continue playing through them, you will be able to decide how challenging you want it to be. Due to the randomized nature of which dungeon you'll play through for each cycle, it should keep things fresh over a period of time.
While mentioning the new dungeon, ArenaNet released details regarding the new Ascended items. Ascended items are represented by a pink color, and they can be upgraded with Infusions, a new type of upgrade. The Infusion slot replaces the traditional upgrade slot, as the stats from traditional upgrades, like jewels, are built into the items themselves. The overall values of the items built into the stats are going to be slightly better than exotic weapons. The only Ascended items available in the Lost Shores content will be rings and backslot items, but additional Ascended items will be added later. These items are slated to fall between exotics and legendaries on the rarity scale, and for those of you who already have legendaries, fear not. ArenaNet has confirmed that once they add Ascended weapons to the games, all existing legendaries will be upgraded to be on par with Ascended weapons.
As a quick side note, the same article by Lindsay Murdoch confirms that there will be additional legendary items added to the game later on. Lindsay also mentioned there will be adjustment to legendary precursors. Apparently they will be acquired on a more scavenger hunt feel than they were previously.
We did mention that Ascended items will be able to be upgraded with Infusions, but you may ask, why do we need them? Well, for starters, let's talk about what we know about Infusions. We know that Infusions are offered in offensive, defensive, and Omni varieties of the Fine or the Blue rarity and can be obtained from the Mystic Forge. For some clarification on the different types of Infusions, some items will only accept offensive and some will only accept defensive Infusions, where Omni Infusions can be slotted into any item. So back to my original point, why do we need them? They're used to counter the new PvE condition, Agony. We will first experience this in the new Fractals of the Mist dungeon. And here's a description of Agony directly from ArenaNet. This extremely dangerous condition takes percentages of players' health away and can't be cleansed by normal means. Players who wish to delve deep into the Fractals will find that Agony makes progress increasingly difficult until they reach a point where some defense against this condition is a must. The only way to mitigate Agony damage is by building up resistance through infusions.
While we don't have much knowledge on it, ArenaNet confirmed the addition of new crafting resources to harvest and an addition of 200 new crafting recipes.
And also, once again, the Black Lion Trading Company has been updated to include new unique minis and new unique weapon skins. We're unsure whether this means new skins added to will be added to the Black Lion chests, or whether we'll see purchasable skins from the Gem Store. But keep an eye on the Gem Store after the November 15th content update to find out.
The last bit of ArenaNet news is the new SPVP map, the Temple of the Silent Storm, which will take place on a Kodan sanctuary. ArenaNet stated that the map will be more vertical than other PvP maps, and the teams will be able to earn buffs that affect players and objectives during gameplay.
As a heads up to Tales of Tyria fans and Necro fans alike, Bridger is currently looking for 2 additional Necro players for their upcoming Necro show that will be in 2 weeks. If you'd like to get in contact with Bridger, he can be reached at feedback@talesoftyria.com.
On to CoT news. OVA released an update regarding the online writing project NaNoWriMo, otherwise known as National Novel Writing Month.
And Jalinar released 2 new translations, one regarding Halloween and another regarding the Dwarves and the Elder Dragons. And while we were off last week, Alucardalina released an update to her personal story.
Our very own Naveen will be doing a 24-hour live stream on Chronicles of Tyria Twitch TV channel for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation on Wednesday, November 14th.
And speaking of the Chronicles of Tyria Twitch TV channel, CoTPodcast returns this week on our usual schedule, and the topic is Ghosts of Ascalon, where we'll be discussing the characters and the plot of the book. Just as a heads up, this episode will have spoilers.
That's it from us here at CoT Weekly for this week.
Stay classy, Tyria.